Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, your majesty, my lords, ladies and gentlemen, inhabitants of the Delta Quadrant, etc. blah blah blah. Welcome to the end of the world. Black Orwellian memory lapse and narrow historical perspectives matter as fascist left-wing bollocks diverts our attention from fascist right-wing pish. Arctic death spiral in the shops now, heralding inevitable collapse of ocean ecosystem. But what is it? And do you eat it, piss on it, fuck it, or show it to your doctor? Dow Jones and FTSE make record gains from planet-raping Ponzi scheme as third, fourth and fifth world get fucked in the assets to make us all fat and fucking happy. Hello, controversial subject matter. The planet's fucked, it's your fault, and it's getting worse. I'm just glad to be here. Welcome to the end of the world. Black lives, so they say, matter. Let's just have a look at some of them. Black lives matter, okay? Did you get that? Because that's what the news and the media say. That's what the protesters say. That's what the cringing, whinging editorial pieces say. And that's what good white people say. That's what fascist, left-wing, neoliberal, intolerant, myopic, cum-twat, social justice warrior, privileged, guilt-ridden official narrative, cold semen-licking moron, retard, idiot fucks say. All right? Have you got that? Are we all on board with this? Because it's important that you swallow this whole narrative in one and lick your lips. Take the knee, get the t-shirt, fill out the form and mail it to your future. So, let's see if we can't unpick this oozing, pus-filled shit sandwich of social cultural modelling, shall we? Let's see what's wrong with the slogan. Who are all the black people? Will the black people stand up? Not you, madam. You're just olive-skinned. No, Carlos, you're Mexican. I don't think that qualifies. Sorry, somewhat cappuccino-skinned South American indigenous people. Just the black people, okay? White trash, sit the fuck down. Scousers, what were you thinking? Alright, calm down. And for those of you unfamiliar with the Scouser or Scouse, they are one of the least posh regional accents in the UK, and they live in one of the most poverty-stricken areas of the same and have been subject to much prejudice and discrimination for many, many years. But their lives don't matter quite as much as black people's lives matter. So let's see all the black people stand up. Good. The rest of you, no matter what the police and or other authorities may do to you, tough shit. Black people had it so hard for so long, they get to the front of the queue for special cultural phenomenon. Jews, I know, you had the whole Holocaust, anti-Semitism thing going on, but it's not about you, so also shut the fuck up and wait for another World War II anniversary, okay? Because we love that on the World War II anniversary. I can't forget the Second World War. No, I don't think so. You know what matters to me and what should matter to our civic society? It's the police behaviour. The behaviour of the police. That's right. The accountability of those in power and public office. I don't care if you kill white trash, black folks, crack holes or Alibaba. You should be accountable to the people who pay for your behaviour. Behaviour matters. Police behaviour matters. Politicians' behaviour matters. People's behaviour matters. Now, just for some historical perspective, I'd like to remodel the narrative that people who sold black people into... Now, let me do that again. Just for some historical perspective, I'd like to remodel the narrative about the black history of oppression and slavery and all that jazz stuff. You see, the people who sold black people into slavery were black people. I know it's somewhat surprising to many of you, but if you just used Google for a few seconds, you would soon find out that the white people with ships never ever ventured into the interior of Africa. They simply landed at a friendly West African port, the Portuguese, the Spanish, the British, etc., and they bought their slaves from black coastal tribes. Black people sold black people to white people, who sold black people to other people. It's all people. In case you hadn't noticed, the theme here is it's people. It's people who do fucked up shit to people. White people, black people, it's all people. Also, in case you thought this experience was unique, I'd like to educate your retarded asses. As a peasant in the UK, I can assure you the white aristocracy honed its slave-whipping ass on us white folks for thousands of years. The Vikings traded slaves to the Romans, the Egyptians, the Greeks, etc. blah blah. And for those of you who saw this, let's roll it. For those of you who saw this, let me see if I can just move that up a little. Yeah, for those of you who saw this, statue of the slave trader Colston chucked in the canal in Bristol. Did you know the Royal Africa Company, of which he was a minor investor, just an investor, he didn't run the company, didn't start the company, didn't really have much to do with the company. That company, the Royal Africa Company, was started and funded by the royal family, Your Majesty, and we'll be coming to her birthday later. So how about getting your rioting ass down to a local royal palace and fucking that shit up while you're at it. And while you're at it, the Church, Catholic and others, presided over a barbaric period of oppression and mindfuck that hasn't ended yet. Burning women, raping children and oppressing millions. So let's all start burning down churches and destroying many statues of Jesus on our way to toppling all royal buildings and statues. Yeah, come on! Who's with me? Black power, fight the man, white power, people power, that's it, I've got it, people matter. Fuck the fucking Queen, fuck the Pope, fuck the President, fuck the police, fuck the war, etc. People power. There are no human races, we're all the same people and we should all practice being human. As Frank Zappa once so intelligently said, we should all practice being human until we get it right. And there will be much more on that story later. Anyone heard of the Arctic death spiral? That's a picture of it behind me. I'll let you have a closer look at that. The Arctic death spiral. Anyone heard of the Arctic death spiral? No? Well, sounds fun, doesn't it? The Arctic death spiral sounds like a giant ice cream or a theme park ride, but it isn't either of those. The Arctic death spiral is one of the most significant events in your life, bar your death, divorce, or elevation to sainthood by the Church of the Subgenius. Wait, I'm getting a telepathic message. Deek, global warming, Al Gore, ClimateGate, it's the sun. Geez, man, the planet was warmer back in the days. Yeah, okay. Let me assure you, it doesn't really matter if Ming the Merciless is warming the planet with a death ray from planet Mongo, or if the sun's electric field has gone turbo on us, or if 300 years of human regassing of the atmosphere is warming up this planet. The ice is melting. Arctic ice is melting at the fastest rate in human history, and so we're using the ominous term death spiral to describe it because it's real bad news, no matter what's causing it. Now normally, some polar ice melts in the summer and winter replenishes, keeping the total amount of ice in the Arctic relatively stable. Let's have a look at what that might look like. What a bean. Every year, the total volume of ice in the Arctic gets smaller and smaller. This melt is happening so quickly, some scientists believe we'll see an ice-free summer in the near future. 2025, whatever. Well, so what, I hear you say? Well, I'll tell you. Arctic ice helps regulate the Earth's temperature. Ice cover reflects sunlight back into the atmosphere, cooling the northern hemisphere. It's like our air conditioning. And the impact of smaller ice cover means more surface water is exposed and can absorb more sunlight. This warms up the temperature of the Arctic and the northern hemisphere, which is increasing the Arctic ice melt. And here's the problem with all of that. I'm going to explain a little bit about physics here. All right, this is a glass of water with ice cubes in it. Now all the time there's some ice in this glass of water. The temperature of the water is 0 degrees C. However, the moment the very last ice cube melts, your glass of water becomes room temperature Just like that. And when that happens at the North Pole, the effects will be grim. Loss of life in the oceans, loss of Arctic summer and sea ice, rapid warming of the far north in the northern hemisphere, altered jet streams, extreme weather events, droughts, snowstorms, underperforming harvests, global food production, civil unrest. No kidding, the US Department of Defense noted that global warming will have a significant geopolitical impact. Let's go back to me. A significant geopolitical impact. Around the world, contributing to greater competition for limited and critical life-sustaining resources like food and water. Did I ever mention on the End of the World show that your slave-whipping owners are planning to kill you by omission, error, or intention? Just saying. The current Arctic sea ice death spiral is outside the norm, and we're already seeing its impacts. This is only the beginning, folks. There will be more impacts, and they are just the evidence we can see. The release of, that's about large amounts of methane. As the Arctic melts, then methane gets released, which is even worse. Why am I telling you this? Well, to begin with, I'm looking forward to being a smug I told you so bastard in the near future. I really am. My friends tell me, Deek, you've been going on about this for 30 years. That's true. I have. I was well ahead of the curve. And I'm going to remain ahead of the curve by telling you about the fucked up shit that's coming down the road. And the fact that the people who own this planet, they know the fucked up shit is coming down the road and they don't want you around anymore. Which is why they're going to let shit happen. Or they're going to make shit happen, and they're totally going to get you to go away and die in large numbers, probably by famine. I think that's the most. It looks like nobody killed you when you die of famine, doesn't it? What happened to that billion people? Oh, they died of famine. But in fact, somebody fucked up. So that's why I'm telling you, and mostly I'm telling you this because it fills my every waking hour. You think we can't kill ourselves? You think we can't mess up so bad nature shrugs us off like ticks on a buffalo? Think again, fat boy. Mass extinction, see last week's show, is a fact of life on Earth. Historically, climate change is the #1 cause, and climate change just put its damage glove on. Smell the glove. Thanks, and moving on to our financial news now. In financial news, people of Earth, your suffering has not been in vain. 2 of the most influential indicators of wealth on the planet have hit all-time highs. The Dow Jones in New York and the FTSE in London are both surging to new highs. FTSE, by the way, if anybody's wondering, FTSE stands for fuck that shit forever, and Dow stands for destruction is our wealth. But what does it mean for you? Well, not much really if you're a typical earthling. I mean, most of you are piss poor livestock a day away from starving to death, so I wouldn't get too worked up about it. But for the lucky, 1 or 2 in some kind of decadent Western style economy where the lights are still on and you can buy a blowjob with worthless bits of paper you call money, it's great news. The best news you can imagine. Your slavery and exploitation will continue for the foreseeable future. Let's have a video of that. This is how they do it, folks. Buying and selling the planet. Even better news for the wealthy families who own all the money, because for them it means basically that somewhere someone is paying back their debts with interest. There's no need to break it down any further or complicate the whole global economy shit. I know a lot of people would like you to think it's more complicated than that, but it isn't. Our economy is a fiat Ponzi scheme, and it works like this. Give me some money and I'll give you back more than you gave me. That's called interest. Why, that's amazing! Yeah, I know. How is this possible? Well, initially it's possible because the raw materials are virtually free. You see, we're raping the planet in every orifice. We're going to mine it, chop it down, fish it, pump it dry, suck it dry, clear cut it, slash it, burn it till it hurts. Then we're going to force its inhabitants into slavery by dispossessing them of land, so they depend on the few people who own the land. Then we're going to make them rape the earth, eat her shit, make shit with the shit they eat, then shit out the shit so other people can eat shit. I know, it's great shit, isn't it? Then we'll sell the shit they make to make people who borrow money from us so they can buy shit. Sounds too good to be true? I mean, Does it? Sounds like a living nightmare, but let me go on. Then we'll give you your money back, minus a small fee. Brilliant! What's the downside? Well, apart from the eventual depletion of all Earth's finite natural resources, the misery, pain and cruelty of fucking slaves with a giant dick of profit, and the need to constantly expand our market share using warfare, corruption and bribery, there's only one fly in the ointment. It can't last forever. What? No, sorry. Eventually you're not getting your money back. But don't worry, I still get a commission. Corruption. I mean, it's not going to happen today. Look, here's your first dividend payment for raping the planet. Now fuck off to the shops and buy something nice. Go on, love. You deserve it. Yes, sirree, Bob. It's a deal. It's a steal. Yes, sirree, Bob. It's a deal. It's a steal. It's sale of the fucking century. Mining shares are up. Retail is up. Utilities are up. Commodities are up. Fear is up. Death is up. War is up. Doom is up. Slavery is up. Exploitation, indoctrination, globalization, privatization. It's all up. And you will be too. You will be fucked up, stitched up, messed up. So, buy fear, buy force, buy war, shop for your lives, spend for victory, and die in debt. 'Cause the only way is down in this never to be repeated once in a lifetime offer to destroy all that's good and beautiful so a few very, very rich people can be slightly richer. Not much, just a little bit richer. No, it's just slightly richer. Thanks. And now the weather. The planet's owned by a handful of people, and you're not one of them. Everything you need is now a business with a bottom line, and the bottom line says fuck it till it hurts. Have a nice weekend. Woo! Well, that was a buzz. And now I feel a song coming on. I guess amongst other things, one of the themes of this week's show is land and slavery and how we all live on planet nigger. Because, as the song goes, if you ain't got land, you're just a peasant. If you ain't got land, you're just a slave. If you ain't got land, you're just a livestock of the people who own everything. You ain't got land, you're just a peasant. You ain't got land, you're just a slave. If you ain't got land, you're just a livestock of people who own everything. If you ain't got land, you'll be working. You'll be working back in the fields. If you ain't got land, you'll be working for the people who own them fields. If you ain't got land, you're just a peasant. If you ain't got land, you're just a slave. If you ain't got land, you're just a livestock of the people who own everything. If you ain't got land, you're just a peasant. If you ain't got land, you're just a slave. You ain't got land, you're just a livestock of the people who own everything. Yeah, alright. Welcome to the ad-libbed part of the show. That initial part of the show is scripted. I don't know if you could tell. My delivery was slick and to the point. But now I'm just making shit up, so I hope you don't expect the same kind of delivery and humour. So, to begin with, I'd like to welcome everybody who was in the waiting room and all the regulars who've turned up for this live stream. Thanks, because without you, I'd just be talking to myself. Which, although, you know, I might have some fun, nobody else would. So, thanks, and I'm just going to have a little peek through the comments and see if anybody said anything entertaining or interesting. Oh yeah, Arctic Death Spiral with sprinkles on top. It does sound like an ice cream, doesn't it? Like something you could order that in a restaurant, along with a little Planet Fucking Slavery. That's a burger. The the Planet Fucking Slavery burger. There you go. There's the Planet Fucking Slavery burger. I'll have that with my Arctic Death Spiral. Yeah, big shout out for the astronomers. Now, the astronomers website is coming soon. It's a work in progress. We're working through some technical problems. When it's ready, I will do a whole show on how evil all the other religions on Earth are and how we are going to kill them all, destroy them, take over the planet, save the planet, travel to the stars, live forever, stuff like that. Truly, we represent the greatest religion in the universe. So that's coming soon. Yes, famine. 30 years ago, the scam was the Ice Age is coming. I should like to address that because the Ice Age is coming. I mean, Ice Ages on Earth are a regular event, and we've been in an interglacial for 10,000 years, and typically it's warm for about 10,000 years, and then sheets of ice a mile high cover the northern hemisphere completely. So, you know, the Ice Age was coming, is coming. There's always an ice age coming because it's one of the natural cycle of the planet due to orbital perturbance and other things is to have cycles of ice ages and interglacials. It's just not natural to take all of our atmosphere into a cylinder of a internal combustion engine and burn it up with some hydrocarbons that were buried 6 million years ago. That's not natural. Okay. Yeah. Arnold Lane, thank you. And anyone else who is or can use Super Chat. I don't understand how it works, but good on you. Thanks for that. And thanks to whoever it was who purchased the work of art that was for sale last week. And I'm just going to now, I'll take this opportunity to say thank you. As I always say, I'm honoured that anybody wants anything I have created in their home or in their life. And so I'll show you this week's work of art. All right, this week's work of art. All right, let's get me out of the way. Is a piece of metal abstract erotica. Let me see if I can find what I had to say about that. Yeah, erotica and abstract. What is abstract? If I was to suggest to you that they were sand dunes, would you think they were sand dunes? What if I was to suggest to you there was a breast in there, or a clitoris, or a tummy? You know, is an abstract open to your interpretation, or is there something intrinsic in what it is an abstract of that gives its identity? Anyway, if you like the look of that, it's on sale on eBay right now. It's made by welding stainless steel onto mild steel plate. It's about 7 by 5 inches. Maybe with the frame it's a little more like, you know, 6 by 9. Nice gold frame in the Rococo style. So there it is. That's this week's work of art. And this will be the last work of art that I auction. Next week there will be an Etsy shop, and if you'd like to buy some of my art to support my crack habit or help fund future episodes of The End of the World, there'll be an Etsy shop. And next week I will have a, what do you call it, a show reel of the art that's available in the Etsy shop. This is the last auction. If you want, Dr. Super Genius, thank you, my man. If you want to get a cheap work of art, because normally I sell these, I'm not joking, these are like £100 pieces normally. And so, but as, you know, I like the engagement, and I like to see these works get out into the world, and I particularly like them to go to people who will appreciate them. So thank you everybody who's bought one, and check out my Etsy next week. Okay, moving on. So, who owns the earth? Not you! And why not? Because they don't want you to. Because you're their livestock, and they're going to slaughter you with famine, war, plague, and death. Speaking of the four horsemen of the apocalypse, death is kind of like a duplicate, isn't he? Do you think the other horsemen of the apocalypse rib him and take the piss? Like, hey famine, what do you think death's going to do this weekend? Oh, I don't know. Death's not really a thing. Is death what happens after war and famine and plague? Couldn't they come up with another horseman of the apocalypse? Answers on a postcard to, I'd be interested. Is there another real horseman of the apocalypse that we've missed out? Is death just standing in for somebody? Anyway, the people who own this planet treat you like their livestock. Like slaves, like chattel, all of us. They see us just like bovine herds of economic units waddling around on their land. And I'm going to get to some information on that. Here we go. Yeah. Who owns the world? Well, in order of the really big owners, the Queen. God bless her gusset. It's her birthday today, we'll do that later. The family of actress Nicole Kidman own so much of Australia it's bigger than most European countries. King Abdullah of Saudi Arabia and Ted Turner and some other royalty, Morocco, Thailand, etc. blah blah. These people own the world. And the world, relative to its human population, is quite large. It's 123 billion acres in size. Let's have some infographic on the world, shall we? Is that... No. Where's my world infographic? Sure, I've got one. Give me a moment. I've got some excellent world infographics. Bada bang. Alright, let's stick that there. Okay. Yeah. The world. 123 billion acres in size, of which 37 billion acres are land. This means there's a notional 4 acres available for every man, woman and child. You're never going to get that. However, humanity's of the use of the land is extremely small. We're only using 1.5% of that. And our relationship with humans and the land, there's a kind of fundamental claim by some people or countries to own land. And on that basis, the world divides into two simple categories. People who live in a country where you're allowed to own land, and people who live in countries who only have tenancies, permitting the state to claim a total right to all the land within its borders. This would make you their livestock. The biggest group of people that cannot own land legally is dominated by the legal ownership by a single individual. And in those countries, the consequent downgrading of all citizens' rights to that of a feudal vassal in relation to land, basically niggers. I make no apology for using the word. White niggers, brown niggers, pink niggers, yellow niggers. Do you really care what colour of owned livestock you are, people? We are owned like objects, like economic units. The world's primary feudal landowner is Queen Elizabeth the Lizard. Queen Lizard II. Queen Elizabeth II. She is queen of 32 countries, head of the Commonwealth of 54 countries, in which a quarter of the world's population lives, and she's legal owner of about 6.6 billion acres of land, 1/6 of the Earth's land surface. And this all began in 1066 with feudalism, the idea that all land and people are the possession of the gods, and the gods devolved ownership to a human representative, the king, the queen, the pope, the Putin, the president. Following the Norman conquest in 1066, the last time Britain was invaded, this singular absolute monarchical owner of land became entrenched in the constitution, and British people think it's now our heritage. It's like they're proud of it. God bless the Queen. Honestly, it's unbelievable. It's like I live in a land of mutant zombie moron fucks. This version of the feudal system was imposed on about a quarter of the world by the British Empire. Niggers of the world, unite, you have nothing to lose. Well, actually, that's it really. You have nothing. You have nothing if you don't have land. You can take all your training shoes, your widescreen televisions, and your shiny BMWs and shove them up your landless nigger ass, 'cause you're just somebody's cow. Okay? The core surviving feudal structure in the modern world is inherited and transnational, and it is in fact the British Crown and its wearer Elizabeth. Her legal title runs thus. Are you ready? She owns most of the world, and this is her legal title. By the grace of God, of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and her other realms and territories. Queen, head of the Commonwealth, defender of the faith. That makes her kind of God's representative on earth, and that's why she has all the land and she owns us. This constitutional statement includes vast territories where the Queen is separately the head of state and legal owner. When the Queen's territories are added together, the Russian Federation ceases to be the largest political entity on earth. Yeah, and so, you know, the Queen, I could go on about the Queen and her tax havens, of which she presides over. That's another story. If she could convert her land holdings into cash, she would be the richest individual on earth. She would be the richest person who ever lived. She could also just turn upside down the 13 tax havens of which she is both ruler and owner and shake the cash out of them. A tax haven is fundamentally a bandit's lair where the people, the kleptocracy that stole all of the money from all the other people with countries on earth, the kleptocracy and their families, Putin, Abdullah, hide the money they steal while in office, and where multinational corporations keep the cash and assets which they have no wish to pay tax to help support you. Okay, are you niggers okay with this shit? Are you? The Pope, who is head of state and a monarch in international law, also acts as God's representative, but not in quite the same way as Muslim monarchs. The estimated total of land held by the Pope is around 177 million acres. The richest congregation on earth, the richest church on earth with the poorest congregation. The world is dominated by ancient structures of land ownership, none of which reflect the modern world, its people, or their needs. But don't hold your breath waiting for this to change, 'cause it won't. Because land is the source of all wealth, and as such, you ain't getting any. I'm not saying you can't buy an acre or two if you get rich, you know. But we the people, your nation, your state, your ruler, they ain't giving you the right to land anytime soon. Except over their dead body. Ooh, I just had the strangest dream. So, who owns Earth? Not you. You're livestock and they're going to slaughter you, and they like it like that. And land ownership has defined poverty and power more or less since the beginning of history. And a couple of examples of this are that in Egypt, the first development of fractional mathematics was necessary in order that they divided up land. In France, there's a valley in France. It has the oldest map in the world carved onto this rock in the valley in France, and it's a map of who owns what land in that valley because it's important. And so land, if you haven't got some, get some. If you and a community can get some, get some. If you as an individual can get some, get some. Because the future's going to be tough, folks. The future's going to be tough, and it's arriving real soon. If you can't grow your own carrots, you're in the wrong queue. Have you seen the queues for food in, wherever you are, America, Europe, Britain? Have you seen the queues for food and social distancing? That's only the beginning. And so, speaking of that, it's probably time to do the coronavirus news. And I should like to say at this moment that this week's show is sponsored by Corona Cola, or Coca Corona. It's the real thing. It's refreshing, stimulating, and it's guaranteed to make your population sick and go away. It's the real thing. Planet rape and slavery. The coronavirus. More evidence has emerged that the coronavirus was synthesized. What? I kid you not. Yell it from the rooftops, people. In fact, if you ever have a conversation, I challenge you to this. If you ever have a conversation and you don't tell people the coronavirus was man-made in a lab in Wuhan, you're letting the side down, people. Shout it from the rooftops. Don't let anybody claim any pish. This is now becoming a gold-plated, copper-bottom, guaranteed, solid oak fact. Norwegian and British vaccine scientists have published evidence that the SARS-CoV-2 coronavirus is man-made. The authors state two conclusions. Mutations that would normally be seen in the course of animal-to-human transmission have not occurred in the SARS-2-CoV, indicating it was pre-adapted for human infection. Now, if you Google this, the name of the scientists are Norwegian scientist Birger Sorensen and British scientist Professor Angus Dalgleish. And if you Google them, you'll find them being pilloried, lampooned and slated all over the internet for publishing their science. It's funny how their science isn't as good as somebody else's science, but it's still science. The thing about science is it's not really an opinion. It's either science or it isn't. So, let's not let the features writer for Vanity Fair or the Guardian's science editor determine for us what is science. Why don't you Google the science, read the science for yourself, satisfy yourself as to the probability. The probability. Let's take a look at the probability meter here. Let's look at the probability meter. There's a lab in Wuhan doing research into gain of function, the ability of a virus in bats to be transmitted to humans. They're doing that. That's a fact. That's what they were doing in the lab in Wuhan. Oh, and a virus escapes in Wuhan that came from bats but can now suddenly infect humans. Wow, my probability meter is going all the way. It's gone all the way. It's probably true. And that's even before a couple of scientists, wait, there's more. You're going to love the third scientists. I started with just a couple of professors, but we're going to some real hot shit science. So, number one, the virus is pre-adapted for human infection. And number two, the SARS-2-CoV has insertions in the protein sequence that have never been detected in nature and contribute to its infectivity and pathogenicity. It has a furin polybasic cleavage site not found in any closely related bat coronavirus. What? Oh no! What does that mean? Well, it means it didn't occur naturally. And it enhances the virus's ability to bind to and enter human cells. That would be handy, wouldn't it? If you wanted to infect people. Okay, what are the other possibilities? If humans in a laboratory where they were conducting research into that, if they didn't get the bat virus and make it infect humans, where does the pangolin thing come in? Because some other things, this is, everything I'm going to tell you is factual, okay? This is factual. Satellite images over Wuhan show that around August last year, the hospitals started to fill up. Huge numbers of people flocked to hospitals all over Wuhan, and they began searching on the internet in China. Again, data analysis has shown this. They began searching on the internet for flu, cough, diarrhea symptoms. And so it seems, again, probable that the virus escaped. Was let loose. Escaped. Infected somebody around August last year. And It's also the case that the wet market in Wuhan, no bats. There's nobody selling bats in that market. Or pangolins. Think about it, folks. Wuhan is a technological uber city. I mean, this is a place that does high tech like Silicon Valley. You think the people of Wuhan are popping down to the wet market for some bat gizzard after they've spent a long day slaving over the software development for a retail shopping enterprise in Beijing? I fancy some pangolin poo. Fuck off. The wet market in Wuhan dealt in chops, steaks, leg of lamb, shit like that. No bats, no pangolins. So if this alleged zoonotic transmission did occur, how did it occur? How did it happen? Did they get like a room full of bats and get them to fuck pangolins, or pangolins to fuck bats, or did they get them all drunk? They get the bats are having a drink and they're looking at a pangolin in the corner, and the drunker they get, they say, well, I didn't fancy the pangolin first, but now I've had a few Budweisers, fuck it, there's only one pangolin here. How is it supposed to go down, people? I find it improbable, but I find it much more likely that a laboratory conducting research into gain of function, the transmission, the changing of bat virus into a virus that can infect human, the actual research they were doing, they were warned not to do it. Google this shit. People are warning the lab in Wuhan. Oh, you're doing gain of function research into how to get it to infect humans? Isn't that dangerous? No kidding, it's fucking dangerous. So, anyway, the authors of this British-Norwegian study, accepted by the Quarterly Review of Biophysics, claim the coronavirus's spike proteins contain sequences that are artificially inserted. Scientist Birger Sorensen and Angus Dalgleish. They claim to have identified inserted sections placed on the SARS spike surface, which explains how the virus interacts with cells in the human body. But wait! There's more. More, Deek? Yes, there's more. There's a nice piece of... Let's warp that up. Yeah. Alright, come back. Okay. I don't understand why that one won't come. Stay there. Okay. So, there's more. Not only is there a couple of scientists who've just published scientific research saying the virus was made by humans in a laboratory. Remember, people, tell everyone. Tell everyone. I feel like this is the end of that black and white science fiction movie. It came from outer space. Wherever you are, tell everyone. This planet has been invaded by dangerous psychopaths with germ warfare at their disposal. Tell everyone the virus was man-made in a laboratory. Dr. Richard Dearlove. Moving on. Dr. Richard Dearlove, who was head of MI6 from 1999 to 2004. You'd think he'd know a thing or two, wouldn't you? Might be privy to some salient facts, the way the world operates, how shit gets done, stuff like that. He says, Sorensen and Dalglish's research shows the pandemic may have started at the Institute of Virology, and he says China tried to cover up the release. Since the coronavirus took hold, senior officials in the United States administrations have also claimed the virology lab in Wuhan was the site of the infection. Blah, 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 blah. And finally, if that wasn't enough, two scientists and the former head of MI6 intelligence, French Nobel Prize winning virologist, a virologist, not a fucking car mechanic, not an astrophysicist, a virologist, a man who, you might think, has a passing knowledge of viruses. A Nobel Prize winning virologist, Luc Montagnier, says he believes that COVID-19 was developed in a laboratory in the Chinese city of Wuhan. How could this be true? I keep being told that it's just bats fucking pangolins. Montagnier, who won the Nobel Prize for the discovery of HIV in 2008, said the coronavirus does not have a natural origin. Let's go over that again, because it may be slightly confusing at first. A Nobel Prize winning virologist who discovered HIV says that the coronavirus does not have a natural origin. It's almost like we're being lied to on a vast wholesale basis across the whole fucking world by people who want to kill us. It's almost like that, isn't it? I mean, you'd be forgiven for thinking some shady shit was going on, wouldn't you? He also says the presence of elements of HIV, what? In the genome of the coronavirus, and even elements of the germ of malaria are highly suspect. You couldn't make this shit up. Well, you could, and I would believe it. If the virus is of artificial origin, it is the work of molecular biologists, Montagnier said in an interview. The Wuhan City Laboratory has specialized in these coronaviruses since the early 2000s. They have expertise in this area. No kidding, Sherlock. In recent days, various scientific journals have pointed out the samples of SARS were twice leaked accidentally from Chinese labs before. Really? Is that a fact? Yes, it is. Check it out on Google. 2004, they let SARS-1 escape twice. That's why they built the level 4 biolab to try and, make things better or worse, depending on your point of view. Also, it was revealed the wet market, which China blamed for the spread of the virus, did not sell bats or pangolins, and the first patient, as well as multiple other early cases, did not have any connection to the market. These are all facts. I don't know why they're not on the news. You'd have to come to your own conclusions about that. The report that the virus originated in the wet market in China is a beautiful legend, as COVID-19 was developed in a laboratory, said Montagnier, the Nobel Prize winning virologist who discovered HIV. Alright, I suppose, moving on. The Queen's official birthday has been marked with a unique ceremony performed over the Welsh Guards at Windsor Castle. And here it is here. Let's just... It's a unique ceremony. Okay. And here it is. Okay. And it's the Queen's birthday, and in this unique ceremony, what she does is... any second now. The troops all stand about, and when they get a sniff of the Queen's pussy, it invigorates them into action. She just lets out a queef. They're all getting ready. Soon she will queef. She's queefed! She has queefed, and she's sitting down with her legs slightly akimbo so the queef can percolate and spread out across the field, causing the actions of the ant-like creatures before her. See her wry smile? That's her thinking, that's some good queef today. It's the queef's birthday. The troops then do a kind of faux mating dance, like ants exchanging pheromones outside of the Queen's chamber, as if they might be the brass band that get to inseminate the next batch of royal eggs. This is how we celebrate the Queen's birthday in the UK. The Queef Elizabeth II, she squirts some of her fertile hormones out from her sexual organs, out into the colony of soldier peasants, and they, invigorated by the smell of these chemicals and hormones, they go into a marching frenzy, thinking that they might get to mate with the Queen. But in fact, nobody gets to mate with the Queen at all. She lays her eggs in the corner, and Superman sprays his semen on top of them later, when she's left the room. Once he's had a smell of her gussets, that is. There you have it. And now she's going back, having queefed herself. She's now depleted her queef, and there is no queef left. Okay. Happy birthday, Your Majesty, and I, for one, can't wait till next year when we see some more people smelling your gusset and doing their ant bee colony dance thing. Whatever. Fucking peasants. Peasant fucking. That was the, what do they call it? The trooping of the colour? That was the fucking of the peasants. That's what they're enacting. Once they've been queefed, they enact a sort of, oh, we'll fuck the peasants on your behalf. And the Queen looks over them and says, that's some good peasant fucking that she has instilled in them. Now, bum bum bum. That was other news. Ba-da-ba. Yeah. Who'd have thought the coronavirus made in a laboratory? Wow. I certainly wouldn't. And now, have a look over some more comments. I will try and keep an eye on the comments, if only to look for the occasional funny one-liner. Yeah, Jesus owns the earth and the Pope is looking for it when he returns. Bill Gates will save us. I mean, Bill Gates wants to keep more people alive. I don't think he's in on it. I don't think they've told Bill. Although, here's some other news. Yeah, speaking of vaccines, alright? Here's some other news. Let's go back to the coronavirus story. Because this is an odd little bit of news. European countries signed vaccine deal with AstraZeneca. Italy, Germany, France and the Netherlands have signed a deal with AstraZeneca for the pharmaceutical firm to supply European citizens with a coronavirus vaccine. The contract is for 400 million doses of the potential vaccine. I say potential because there is no vaccine. And even if there was one, we don't as yet know that it works. Do we? That's odd, isn't it? Which is being developed with the University of Oxford in the UK. Its experimentation phase is expected to end this autumn. I beg to differ with that. I would say its experimentation phase will begin when they start injecting you with it. That's if you're stupid enough to take their fucking vaccine. I, for one, will not be having any vaccine knocked up in a panic in a field in Oxford, funded by the global elite and promoted by Ursula von der Leyen. Has anybody seen the current head of the European Union? Let's see if I can get a picture of Ursula von der Leyen. See what Ursula von der Leyen looks like. Yeah. Alright, this is Ursula von der Leyen. Let me just see where she's gone. There she is. Let's pop her there. Alright. Get rid of me. Ursula von der Leyen. Current President of the European Union, which we have left. Hoorah! Less government for us, more for you. Do you think because we've left Europe, there's still the same amount of government, and now it has to be shared out equally amongst all those other people in Europe, so they end up with more government? Or is it more like the government just shrinks to be just the right amount of government for the people it's got to govern? Answers on a postcard, please, to I don't really give a fuck. But hey, this is Ursula von der Leyen. Her family, if you look at her Wikipedia, it's funny this, her family Wikipedia has a strange gap in it from about 1900 to 1970. There's very little mention of what Ursula von der Leyen's family were up to, but I can tell you what they were up to. They were building stuff for the war, for the Nazis. That's what her family were up to, and it was very lucrative, and they made quite a lot of money. And it's quite interesting that actually she's married to a guy. I forget his name. Let me see if it's on the Wikipedia. Ursula von der Leyen. There's the Wikipedia. Let's see who her husband is. Ba-bam-bam. Oh yeah, she's Christian. Oh, you'd have to be, wouldn't you? Honors World Publications. She's married to a guy. Family and early life. All right. Yeah. Wealthy cotton merchant. Blah blah blah. She's married. Blah blah blah. In 1986, she married the physician Heiko von der Leyen. He's an aristocrat whose family also, strangely, have an odd gap in their Wikipedia from about 1900 to 1970, where it's not really clear what they were doing. But in fact, her family and his family were both building shit for the Nazi war machine, and very lucrative it was too. So these people, Ursula and her colleagues in the European Union, have bought 400 million doses of a bizarre, as yet unfinished concoction of chemicals to inject the people of Europe with to cure a disease that was made in a laboratory funded by France and America in China, the world's most tyrannical and secretive regime on earth. Does anybody else have a problem with this? Does anybody else think this is not a movie I want to be in? Does anybody else think this is the wrong movie? I'm in the wrong movie. I don't want to be in a movie where plutocrats and technocrats and aristocrats cook up flaming goo to poison me with, and then tell me they've got some other flaming goo that will be good for me if I were to take it. And then they come round with the army and tell me it's compulsory to take it because we have to save lives. I don't think so. And I think I will finish with a song. And the album Disobey is out now, along with many other albums of mine. You can get them all on deekjackson.com, which is a link to my Bandcamp. And I thank you if you go there, as some people did, and buy the album and or other albums. Some people bought all my albums. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I think of myself as a musician who does other shit, rather than some shit who's a musician. So I'm so happy that people buy my music and help support my drug habit. Thanks. Here's a song about the coronavirus. They say coronavirus is here and here to stay. The government passed lots of laws and we must all obey, to save the lives of people who might die anyway. I've got to do my shopping on Amazon and eBay. Yippee-i-oh, yippee-i-yay. We must all obey. It's like we've all been locked up for some shit we did not do. But let's not blame the Chinese or that lab in the WHO. I'm gonna do that verse again. It's like we've all been locked up for some shit we did not do. But let's not blame the Chinese or the WHO. Or the lab they've got in Wuhan with the bats and pangolins. It's just a strange coincidence. The virus was within. Yippee-i-oh, yippee-i-yay. had our training in compliance and behave. And folks is all behaving like they're bullies for the state. Get back behind the line. And fascism and tyranny take hold in all our lives, and nobody can question the why, the what, the why. Yippee-yi-oh, yippee-yi-yay. We must all obey. Yippee-yi-oh, yippee-yi-yay. Don't obey, disobey. Thanks for watching The End of the World. Where's my end stream? Let's get to the end. Okay, well, thanks to everybody that tuned in. Thanks to everybody who... Vault Nurse, be well, be free, be happy. Indeed. Wow, so many comments. Dr. Super Genius, I will keep the truth, the whole truth, and something like the truth coming to people who may or may not want to hear it. Arnold Lane, thank you. Michael Marshall and Osama number 5, who I missed, who left a comment last week. Thank you also. If you come back, I hope we can discuss global dimming and the absence of coal dust in our atmosphere. Okay, thanks. Thanks for watching The End of the World. Remember, the planet's fucked, it's your fault, and it's getting worse. Have a nice weekend.